So if Della or Helen don't come, then these two participate. Yeah.
Right.
This is much nicer than that little one I printed up.
See.
So are we ready to start, Sylvia, or do you?
I need a few more minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Fancy, sir. It's got a fancy one.
You think? What? Oh, my clock is wrong. I took it 4 minutes.
Nope. Okay, so it's October 6th, 2021. We're at Bartonville Town Hall at 1941 East Peter Road, Bartonville, Texas, 5:30 p. We're going to call the meeting to order at 5:33 p.m. and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. So I guess the first thing on the agenda is the review of ordinance 68420, limiting terms for chairpersons.
Not much to review, but just a friendly reminder that in October 2020, this ordinance put a term limitation on chairs. So a chair cannot hold 2 consecutive sessions. So that started in 2020. So should you be appointed chair this year again, you would be ineligible in 2022. And that's pretty much the
That
summary.
last 2 years or what?
It's 2 years.
2 years,
Yes.
after 2 years.
Yes.
I appoint Kathy.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, anyone opposed? All right. And, how about a vice chair? Who's currently the vice chair? Okay. Again. That's okay with her.
Second.
Yes, I do need a second.
Uh,
Okay, and then all in favor of Donna being the vice chair. All righty. Okay, so then we'll go into the public participation. Did anyone fill out any cards?
Not received any.
Okay, so then we'll move to the approval of the minutes from the September 1st meeting. So I don't know if anyone had a chance to read those, or does anyone want to make a motion on that?
Second.
Favor of approving the minutes from the last meeting? Okay. Rick? Approve, okay. Okay, so that passes unanimously. So now we'll go to the public hearing for the variance from RDBs. So we have a public hearing to hear public comment and consider the request by the applicant Fam Properties LLC for a variance from the zoning district requirements for accessory buildings set forth in Chapter 14 zoning regulations Exhibit A, Division 4 special requirements, Chapter 19 accessory building and use regulations, Section 19.4 accessory buildings, subsection 19.4.8.3.b.2, stating that an accessory structure may be permitted in the side yard of a corner lot between the primary structure and a public street under the condition that the front of the accessory structure will be oriented towards the front yard. The variance sought to allow for the construction and continued placement of an accessory building that will be oriented towards the backyard. So Ed, should we do these one at a time, or should we just read through them all? And
I think it's best to read through them all. That's why they can all be discussed, but I would recommend a vote on each one separately.
the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for Village Center District set forth in Chapter 14 zoning regulations Exhibit A, Division 2 Districts, Chapter 12 Vision Center District, Section 12.2 uses permitted, subsection 12.2.b, requiring that an accessory building may not exceed 400 square feet. The variance sought is to allow the construction and continued placement of an accessory building with 679 square feet. Also, the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for landscaping requirements set forth in Chapter 14 zoning regulations Exhibit A, Division 4 special requirements, Chapter 18 landscaping requirements, Section 18.6 minimum landscaping requirement for non-residential developments, Section 18.6.j.1, requiring a minimum of 10% of the gross parking areas to be devoted to living landscaping that includes grass, ground cover, plants, shrubs, and trees. The variance sought is to allow the current landscaping configuration of the east parking lot that does not have a minimum of 10% of the gross parking area devoted to living landscaping. Also, the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for landscaping requirements set forth in Chapter 14 zoning regulations Exhibit A, Division 4 special requirements, Chapter 18 landscaping requirements, Section 18.6 minimum landscaping requirement for non-residential development, Section 18.6.j.2 perimeter landscaping, subsection 18.6.j.2.b.3 requiring a curvilinear berm measuring a minimum of 3 feet in height or a hedgerow creating a solid vegetation screen at maturity of the plant materials. The variance sought is to allow the current landscaping configuration of the east parking lot that does not provide a curvilinear berm that is 3 feet in height or a hedgerow. Also, the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for off-street parking requirements set forth in Chapter 14 zoning regulations Exhibit A, Division 4 special requirements, Chapter 17 off-street parking and loading requirements, Section 17.3 non-residential districts and non-residential uses in residential districts, special off-street parking provisions, subsection 17.3.f, Appendix B, illustrations, Illustration 2, parking space size and design, Illustration E, titled 90-degree layout, requiring a drive aisle width of 24 feet. The variance sought is to allow the current parking lot configuration of the east parking lot that provides drive aisle widths of 17.4 and 18 feet. The property to be considered for the variance consists of tracts of land being described as Lot 1R to Lot 2R and Lot 1-R3, Block A, Dinkman Plaza Addition, Town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The properties are generally described as a 3.433 acre tract of land and is 1.4480 acre tract of land located on the west side of FM 407, more commonly known as 2664 FM 407, Bartonville, Texas. So Sylvia?
I'll give a summary of all that. Thank you. Okay, so the applicant has applied for a site plan amendment that will be discussed at the P and Z meeting that follows this meeting. The site plan amendment does include a proposed accessory building that will be used as storage for a meat smoker. And it also includes the formal incorporation of the east parking lot into the site plan. So the site plan does require a number of variance requests, which is what you will consider today. Two of them are related to the accessory building. So the first one is for the orientation of the building. Our code states that whenever there's an accessory building on a corner lot, that the orientation of the building has to go towards the front yard. This one will go towards the backyard. The other is for the size of the accessory building. It is 679 square feet. And under Village Center standards, it cannot exceed 400 square feet. So one for the orientation and the other one for the size. And then the parking lot has some variances as well. The first one is for the drive aisle width. For the layout of this parking lot, it's considered a 90-degree layout. So the parking lot layout for, well, this type of layout requires 24 feet of width between drive aisles. So this variance request is for about 17 feet and 18 feet for two of the driving aisles. The other two are related to the parking lot's landscape. Our ordinances require a minimum of 10% devoted to landscaping in a parking lot, and this parking lot does not have 10%. Also, our ordinances require a 3-foot hedgerow or berm to act as screening, and this parking lot also does not have a berm or a hedgerow. So it's a number of 5 different variance requests.
Okay. So now we can hear from the applicant.
Does it light up, Sylvia? All right, good evening.
Your name?
My name is Kara King with McAdams. The address is 201 Country View Drive, Roanoke, Texas, 76262.
Okay, and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth,
Yes.
so help you God? Okay, thanks. You can proceed.
It's over there.
This
Okay.
TV is unfortunately not working, but this one has the connection.
Okay, excellent. All right, so we'll start us off. Will you be handling the clicker, Sylvia?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
No, I'm fine, depending on what they show. You see?
Still need you to move, tell me.
Okay, this is just the land use plan shows that we're Village Center land use surrounded by Village Center and RE2 to the west. This shows the zoning, zoned Village Center and then Village Center with special use permit for a drive-through. That's for Marty's Coffee Shop, so. Okay, this is the location. So the ones that we'll be talking about today is Marty B's amended site plan, and you can see the north parking lot to the north of that, and then the east parking lot to the east. The main discussion for the variances is going to be on the east parking lot. This right here is the minor plat that is part of the amended site plan process that we submitted. And what it does is it takes what was originally 2 lots and it combines the east parking lot. So now that it's all 1 lot. This is the copy of the amended site plan, just for reference. What we submitted kind of shows the whole property as a whole. And you can see in the bottom left-hand corner there that there is the proposed building addition, just right there in between the fire lane on the southwest side of the building. These are the elevations for that building that will be in discussion for those first two variants that Sylvia mentioned. Another set of elevations on the outside. This is the west elevation on top, looking from the back of Marty's. And then on the bottom, you have the south elevation and then a section cut of it. Okay, so here's to start us off with the variance request. This is the first request. It's the accessory building orientation towards the back of the lot instead of the front property line. The purpose of the building is to store the smoker for Marty B's. The placement of the door is to the sidewalk and access to the fire lane back there. So you can, as you can see, if it was placed on the north side to meet the front facing requirement, that would be right there at the patio. So that is why the door placement is there on the front. Did we want to go through all of these? Or are we handling them one by one? I know we read them all fall.
Yeah, I think we're gonna handle them one by one.
Okay,
So if that's okay with everyone.
Kind of up to you.
Yeah. I
We read
just-
them all, but as far as the discussion portion goes, I'll leave that up to you. You can discuss them all now, or you can discuss them one by one and vote on them.
Well, we definitely want to vote on them one by one. Yeah, so, I mean, you can go continue and just, and that way it gives people time to think about any questions they might have.
okay, sounds good. So the next one is the accessory building exceeds the 400 square feet at a proposed square footage of 679. The purpose of the accessory building is to store the smoker, and 679 is the adequate size that we needed to store the smoker. So that is the difference in square footage there and why it exceeds the 400. The next variance request is the parking lot landscape. Established parking lot does not meet the 10% landscape requirement. The parking lot's currently 3,243 square feet. 10% of that is 324. The parking tree requirement is 1 tree for every 400 square feet. Is equivalent to 8 trees. Currently, there are 9 existing healthy trees located within the parking area. Is that video playing? It's playing. It'll scroll through. So this video will scroll through the images that show the parking lot landscape as well as the next variance request that we'll be talking about. The next slide. The next one is for the parking lot landscape, the 3-foot berm or shrub row that is not provided. The purpose of asking for this variance is to maintain the natural look of the buffer area. There's an existing natural buffer area that screens the parking from 407 and IT Neely. The requirements for this consist of a 15-foot landscape buffer, 5 canopy trees, 15 ornamental trees, a 3-foot berm, or approximately 130 shrubs. The existing buffer that's currently out there exceeds the 15 feet with buffer and contains approximately 27 healthy canopy trees along 407 and 8 healthy canopy trees along IT Neely, and a decorative split rail fence. A 3-foot berm would require 25 feet from that and would eliminate from the offset of the parking and would eliminate the natural landscaping out there if you were to put a 3-foot berm in. This would eliminate the natural landscape buffer and prevent Marty B's from maintaining the current natural look of the landscape buffer. And that is why that variance is being requested.
Saying that you put in the berm, you have to remove trees.
Sir.
Okay.
Nope, that's it. Actually, that's 5 for this one. So that one's it. The other 2 are the site plan.
So there's actually 5 things we're talking about tonight.
Yes, for
Okay.
CPOA, there are 5.
Okay.
Just let me know if you have any questions.
Well, the only question I have, are they currently smoking back there? I mean, is that what those 2 connexes are? And so your current building's going? Okay, but you're not currently smoking using those connexes. You're not, okay, okay.
Gonna store fuel in there also, wood. You're gonna store wood in there.
This is for the trailer, correct? The great big smoker on the mobile smoker.
Are you gonna smoke in there or you move it out?
So both.
Got any problems with fire in there? It'll be vented and everything. Okay. Fire inspector have to look at that, Sylvia?
Sorry?
Does the fire inspector have to look at that
At the smoker?
in the building?
Well, if we approve the building and the location and everything about the building, then they just have to follow.
They would go through the building permit process.
Do they have to go through P and Z for that too, or?
A P and Z will discuss the site plan, which also includes the accessory smoker
tonight?
building.
So- Okay.
I don't want him to get his hair singed.
Sure.
Just your name and address, please.
2664 FM 407 in Bartonville. Yeah, so ultimately, I know it sounds a bit odd, given all the space we have at Marty B's, but we've frankly ran out of space for a variety of things. Parking, as we know, has been a challenge, but we're getting ready to expand the amount of meats we're cooking at Marty B's for 2 reasons. One is I'm going to use that new space to help be the commissary for our coffee shop. We're going to sell some of the smoked meats there. And so we just need a space to kind of keep it all separate from Marty B's, right? And so when you're trying to provide meats for Marty B's and then trying to provide food for another entity, it can be, a bit nerving to try to keep it all separate and maintain the accounting of it all. And then our other desire is we want to use this additional space to do mail order barbecue all across the country. And our desire is to start doing that right after the first of the year. So this new space is going to give us some bandwidth to expand the amount of meats we can cook, support the coffee shop, and then give us a chance to send our meats all across the country.
So is the coffee shop that new building that's going up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Straps right there about where that's.
Yes, ma'am. It actually, I think is going to be a benefit given the proximity to it. So we'll be able to tie into it. We'll probably have to do some saw cutting with our existing back dock area. But we'll tie everything in to the existing grease trap that's sitting basically in that back dock area. So
It's not a fire.
My name's Mike Salvaggio with Land Court Development Construction Company. As far as the plan, we have architectural plans that we'll be submitting, but to keep in mind that the smokers are electric smokers. So it's not essentially going to be fire. They're run off of 110. So shouldn't be a concern.
it will be fire.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying we're not, it's really kind of like an electric smoker with wood inside of it. So it's all contained within the smoker like he has right now. So inside the building, it's all going to have, we've got a swamp cooler on there. We're going to have exhaust fans in there. They'll keep everything towards safe. There's no need for any type of fire suppression, just like he has right now. It's essentially going to be the same type of model that he's using. He's just adding a couple more smokers. Okay. And the building is, as far as the building, that what I think is important, I just want to just kind of add, it's really an appendage to his existing building. The architecture, which you don't get to see is going to match the building, the existing building, the roof. Everything is going to look just like part of the existing building. Okay.
So nothing's really gonna change. You're just gonna basically enclose your smoker. So
Essentially,
Yeah, once
Good
it's all
visual.
done, it'll look like it's always been there. It won't even stick out. It's gonna look as though it was always there. And then, well, the other variance was the placement of the door. And so ultimately, for us to be most efficient and to service that area, we wanted to have a door toward the back of it versus the front. We don't want to be walking around where all the customers are, and that. So it ties it into the back door area super efficiently and allows us to really be, efficient at handling our beats and stuff. So
On the back side, is that gonna cause a problem, like a safety problem, where someone would go in there?
so it's kind of facing the parking lot,
but
correct?
it's facing the parking, but there'll also be a door that enters from our back dock area that you won't see on the exterior of the building. So we'll be mainly accessing it from the side entry in the back of our restaurant. That back door area is really going to be locked up most of the time, but we needed to create a space where when we bring in a smoker, we can, install it and put it in there. So that was the reason for that primarily. You're welcome.
So do we have any more questions on the orientation of the building? So then we'll make a motion on that one.
Wait. We need to open the public hearing.
Oh, okay. So it's 5:57 and we'll open the public hearing. Or is this on like Zoom or, so do you know if there's anyone out there?
People cannot participate.
Oh, okay, so,
Watch, but not participate.
oh, okay. Okay, so then we just, I guess, need to see if does anyone here want to speak in favor of? No. Okay, is anyone opposed? Did you get any letters from any of the neighbors? Did they even, did very many neighbors even get it? Because I mean, he's probably not that close to actual residential.
In the agenda packet, there's a list of everyone who receives it. Say there was maybe 6 to 8 properties that are within 200 feet, and I did not receive any comments or questions.
So then, Ed, will we have to open a public hearing for each one of these things and then close it? So we just keep the public hearing open until the final one? Then we'll-
Or you can go ahead and close it and vote on them.
Okay, so we don't have to do that. Okay, so then if no one wants to speak for, no one wants to speak against, then there weren't any letters one way or the other, then we'll close the public hearing at 5:59 PM. And I guess now you can make your motion, Dale. Sorry.
Seconded.
The first one.
For the orientation of the building.
Smoker
Build the building.
Vote on that one, so all in favor? So no one's opposed. Okay, so we'll move on to the second one, which is for the square foot, the size of the building. So does anyone have any questions for her on that one? There's no way you could do it any smaller, so you have to have the 679 square feet.
That space. Yes.
walk-in cooler and freezer we'll put in there as well. So we do need the space. There's also a clean sink in there. And so it's,
So it's no bigger than those connexes that are out there, is that,
Nope.
so that's,
we're taking the exact amount. In
that's
fact,
a-
we're taking less space than what's out there right now.
okay.
So pretty much,
Okay.
but that depicts about how much area is going to be consumed with the new addition.
Have a problem with that accessory building as it is, because I think that that is intended for more like residential, that limitation, as opposed to commercial.
The 400 square feet, is that what you're talking about?
Any,
I would think.
for business, it doesn't make sense. But
But it's there, so we have to deal with it. So do we have a motion on the one to allow for the 679 square feet versus the 400 square feet?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay. All in favor of that one? Okay, all in favor? No one's opposed to that one. Okay, so then we'll go to the landscaping. We'll talk about the 10% gross parking areas first. Does anyone have any questions on that? So what they're doing is they're taking the north parking lot and then the east parking lot, and then they're just going to combine them with more parking? Is that what you were saying?
No, the east parking lot is existing. The north parking lot was built a few years back. The square footage just applies to the east parking lot. It was built in what year, Marty? Was it? So 2019 was when the east parking lot was built. The way it was laid out was to preserve the natural landscaping within the parking lot, being those 9 existing healthy trees located within there. So there's no parking islands. It's just, I don't know if y'all have been out there. I feel like it's so small. Everyone
I
knows
went,
where it's
yeah,
at.
I went today. That's like the paved parking lot, the concrete. Is that right? And then the other ones, just rock?
Yeah, it's just crushed rock. The one to the north and the one to the east are crushed rock.
Okay,
So the one to the east is the one that we're talking about.
okay.
And it's the one that doesn't meet the landscape requirement. However, it does have 9 existing healthy canopy trees within it right now.
Again, get rid of any trees, sure.
No, sir.
Questions on that one? No more questions on that one? So you just want to leave it like it is?
Correct.
And the east parking lot, is that the one that's right there off of 407?
Yes, it's at the corner of 407 and 19 Ely.
19 Ely. Okay.
I motion to approve.
Second on that one?
Second.
Okay, and all in favor? Actually, it doesn't look like there'd be much space to do anything else over there
Correct.
anyway, so,
And it functions.
yeah.
It has been functioning.
Odd if you did.
Okay, and so then the next one will be the, for the berm. The request for the variance to add a berm instead of what they currently have.
It's a request to deviate from the code because we do not meet the buffer requirement for that parking lot. And I'll just kind of talk about it once again, that it requires a 15-foot landscape buffer, 5 canopy trees, 15 ornamental, a 3-foot berm, or approximately 130 shrubs. Our current buffer exceeds the 15 feet. I believe it's 25. And there's currently 27 existing healthy canopy trees on FM 407 and 8 existing trees on IT Neely. And then also has a decorative split rail fencing to go along with Marty's theme. So if a berm would require 25 feet in order to do the berm, and then it would take out all of the existing landscape. So we're asking for a variance from the landscape altogether and not removing any existing trees.
So how come we're having to discuss this tonight when the parking lots are already there? And this didn't come up when they added the parking lots? So we're just making it official?
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
Assume consent.
Okay, so then does anyone have questions?
Parking lot with the map of the shopping center, basically, 407.
That is not part of our property. Yeah, that's not part of Marty B's property, where there's a lot in between Marty B's east parking lot and like the pond at Barnville Town Center. So this is between the east parking lot and FM 407 and between the east parking lot and IT Neely. And the pictures, if you bring back up the pictures or the video, you can see the natural landscape and how big and healthy those. Yes, yeah, they're right there as well. The trees out there as well, so you can see those in the pictures. You're welcome.
Questions? I'd like to make a motion on this one.
Motion to approve.
And all in favor? Okay, so then the last one is the parking aisles. To go from 24 feet to 17.4 and 18 feet. Does anyone have to, I mean, that's not like a fire issue or anything like that for getting fire trucks in or anything like
I
that?
did send the site plan with that specific question to the Emergency Services District and they had no comments.
So, but they did acknowledge it. They
Yes,
didn't comment one
yes.
way or the
Right,
other.
they sent like basically an approval letter saying that they didn't have any concerns about the aisle.
But again, this is the way it's set up right now.
Correct.
So
Not a problem.
Distance they specify. So unless the engineer says you can't do that.
Unless you're hauling a trailer or something, you probably wouldn't have a problem.
there wouldn't be anybody in this parking lot except customers anyway, correct? There'd be no reason for anybody with it unless somebody's got a big dually that they want to park there and eat dinner. That's their problem.
Well, but even so, he's saying Clay's truck is fine. Yeah, yeah. So,
You don't want to be in that parking lot with.
okay, alrighty then. So does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, so do we have a
Well, again, I'll motion to approve.
second? Okay, and then all in favor? Alrighty. So then, I guess that's it for the Marty B's.
Thank y'all so much.
Okay, thank you. So then the next one will be a public hearing to hear comment and consider the request. Oops, it's the same one. Okay, for the First Church of the Nazarene Lantana Community Church for variance from the zoning district requirements for rural business district RB set forth in chapter 14, zoning regulations exhibit A, division 2, districts, chapter 11, rural business district RB, section 11.2, uses permit, section 11.2.b, requiring that an accessory building may not exceed 400 square feet and is to be constructed with the same or similar building facade as material as a primary structure. And the variance sought for is for the placement of 2 manufactured accessory buildings, each 1,536 square feet, and that the accessory building uses different material than the primary structure, which is smooth formica siding in a place of concrete. Also, the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for rural business district RB set forth in chapter 14 zoning regulations exhibit A, division 2, districts, chapter 11, rural business district, section 11.3, development and performance standards, section C2.2.a, requiring that every 60 feet of the building wall visible from a public street or residentially zoned property, there shall be a change in the building footprint, providing for a jog or an offset measuring a minimum of 5 feet. The variance sought is to allow the current configuration of the primary building, which does not provide for a jog or offset. Also, the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for rural business district set forth in chapter 14 zoning regulations exhibit A, division 2, districts, chapter 11, rural business district, section 11.3, development and performance standards, section 11.3.c.4.b, requiring roofs to have a minimum slope of 7 feet of rise for every 12 feet of run. The variance sought is to allow a roof pitch of 4.0 or 4 feet of rise for every 12 feet of run on the proposed accessory buildings which are manufactured and cannot be changed. Also, the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for rural business set forth in Chapter 14 zoning regulations, Exhibit A, Division 2, Districts, Chapter 11, Rural Business District, Section 11.3, Development Performance Standards, Section 11.3.C.1.D.1, requiring the front facade of the primary structure to contain a minimum of 90% masonry material. Said masonry material to be limited to clay-fired brick, Austin stone, cast stone, and other such comparable masonry material as approved by the town, and prohibiting the use of pre-finished metal wall panels, concrete blocks, halite blocks, and stucco. The variance sought is to make no change to the primary structure, which is constructed with concrete using tilt wall technique. Also, the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for rural business district set forth in Chapter 14 zoning regulations, Exhibit A, Division 2, Districts, Chapter 11, Rural Business District, Section 11.3, Development and the Performance Standards, Section C.11.A, requiring compatibility buffers adjacent to the residential uses. The variance sought is to allow the current landscape configuration. Also, the applicant requests a variance from the zoning district requirements for rural business district set forth in Chapter 14 zoning regulations, Exhibit A, Division 2, Districts, Chapter 11, Rural Business District, Section 11.3, Development and Performance Standards, Section 11.3.A, Chart 11.1, requiring the maximum height standard to be 25 feet. The variance sought is to make no change to the current structure, which is 42 feet in height. The property is a 10.09 acre tract of land located on the north side of East Jeter Road, more commonly known as 2200 East Jeter Road, Martinville, Texas.
So the applicant has applied for a site plan to add 2 manufactured accessory buildings behind and to the west of the main building. Each of the proposed accessory buildings is 1,536 square feet. The buildings will be used for community outreach and youth ministries. The property at 2200 East Jeter Road is currently legally non-conforming because several of the property's aspects do not meet the town standards. Also, the 2 accessory buildings have aspects that do not meet town standards as well. Therefore, they are applying for several variances. The first variance is related to the accessory building size. Similar to the variance item that we just discussed, there is a 400 square foot limitation on accessory buildings, and the size of the ones being proposed are over 1,500 square feet each. The second variance will actually, staff's recommendation is to postpone, and that's because in the notice that was sent, the building material was included as Formica, but it has since been brought up that it's not Formica, but it's actually plywood. So the town will need to send an updated notice and updated letters to property owners within 200 feet, letting them know of the correct building material. So staff's recommendation is to postpone for that specific variance request. The third variance is for the wall jog. The request is to allow the existing primary building to remain as is without a wall jog. The fourth variance is for the roof slope. The applicant is requesting a 412 roof pitch for the accessory buildings instead of the 712 roof pitch. The fifth variance is for the building materials of the existing primary building. Again, the request is to leave the existing building as is, and it is constructed with concrete. The sixth variance is related to the landscaping and compatibility buffers. The variance is to allow the current landscaping as is, and that does not provide the compatibility buffers. And the last variance is related to the building height of the primary building. The maximum height standard is 25 feet in rural business, and the existing primary building is 42 feet in height.
Okay, so what's code is that?
It would be, executive session would be in conformance with Government Code 551.171.
Okay, so we're going to move into executive session at 6:15 under Government Code 551.171 for further discussion. So you, yeah, if you don't mind, you guys will have to go outside. Sorry.
Says my cue.
So state your name, address, and you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Calvary Calendar and address 2200 East Teeter Road. So this microphone is loud for this little room. Sorry. I'm a preacher and used to speaking loud, so I'll try to back off for you guys. Appreciate you taking time tonight. And I know that there's Sylvia and I have talked about the variance that we'll have to, I want to talk about that just a little bit to explain what happened with me. But anyway, to address, do you want me to address each one individually? I didn't even think like Marty B to bring a PowerPoint of some sort, but you do have paperwork there to,
We probably have everything we need. Yeah, I'd address each one individually.
okay. And then as you guys are driving by the church, you probably have a good idea of what it looks like and what's going on over there. So looking at the first one here for the size of the buildings. Well, first, let me say the reason that we need to do this and then get into what we have going on here. These are intended to be temporary buildings. We have found during COVID, a lot of people struggled with lockdown and with things going on in their lives. And for the church, we actually ended up being able to grow. And that came about because there was just a tremendous need that we found in the community. And so we've done a lot of things that have started just during COVID, the last year and a half, especially. Probably some of you have heard of the food and diaper distribution that we do. We call it Uplift. You might have seen that around. We've actually partnered with Tarrant County Food Bank now to be the only stop in this area. And it had to be Tarrant County. It was a whole thing where we talked with North Texas Food Bank, who does Denton County, but Tarrant County said no, they couldn't take us. So we ended up using, anyway, that was their turf war. So we partnered with them and we distribute food. And then as a church, we collect diapers and clothes and those kind of things. So every month we serve 300 or 400 people that need the food and diapers and those kind of things. We've partnered with Mission Moms, if you guys have heard of Mission Moms, that help with underprivileged kids in the schools around, and we collect things for them. Sing country songs. So we've been able to do that with Mission Moms, which has been good for us as a church and as a community, I believe. The Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, we have a troop that meets at our church. And actually the Bartonville, I forget the name of, they each have different chapters, but they meet there. We have started an after-school Bible study for our children. And all the kids in the area, that's on Wednesday. So right after school today, we had kids from all over Blanton and Razor and the elementary schools around, and they were there, over 100 kids for our Bible study. We have various community events. The last night, the National Night Out, the Clean Up Bartonville Day, is that what it's called? Is it Clean Up Bartonville? Clean Up Day, yeah. So we have enjoyed now those things were not part of COVID, but these other things that we've started as far as community involvement have all happened because of COVID. Well, that's really caused our church to have a need, like we have at Vacation Bible School, we had over 200 children. Our youth are meeting tonight, and there's over 40 teenagers that are there at the church. And with the ASK, 100 kids were there today. One of the things our building lacks is a medium meeting space. We have what is the sanctuary building. It's also a gym. And so we are looking at the future, and what we'd like to do is to get to a place where we can build a sanctuary and then bring in, have that as kind of our medium space for some of these other groups to meet a little easier. So I started looking around for temporary ways to fix this problem. And I've got friends that I've made in different, all over. So I got to talking with somebody from Louisville, the school district, and they had the buildings that they were, of course, the school districts are always getting rid of. And I thought, oh, well, maybe that would be a good thing for us. And that's why it's the size that it is. It's a manufactured, it's one of those school buildings that you would see around. And so it's temporary in nature, and it's intended for us to be a temporary building until we can get the wheels rolling just to make space that we need right now. And so whenever I was talking to them about that, and then the guy that we're actually buying it from, I used the word Formica in the siding. It's Formica is a name brand, and thanks to my friend over here for pointing that out. I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but that's what they explained it to me as. But really, it's a solid substrate covered plywood, so it's not a just plywood that's painted. It's like a solid type of material, and I called it Formica because that's the way I understood it. So Formica is a name brand, and I don't know if that matters with the way that the notices have gone out and stuff, but that's what that.
It does.
Okay, that's what the reasoning for the change in that in the way that that's siding is labeled though. So I don't know if on this first one.
Well, I think that's good enough explanation for the
Okay.
first one. If you want to go on, and then we'll probably have questions as we go.
Okay. I didn't know if we could vote on the buildings first and then come back later for the variance on it, or do they both need to be handled at the same time?
Probably be handled as two separate items.
Okay. All right. And then moving on to the next one, every 60 feet, the building visible from the street has a jog on the building. Well, that's the current building. It was built in the 80s. There's just no way for us to go in and change the concrete exterior. So we're asking for a variance on that. It's the current building.
Okay, and then the next one.
All right, the next one is the roof pitch. It requires the variance is asking for an allowance of a 412 roof pitch rather than a 712. And the 412 is just because that's the way the building is manufactured. And it would be nearly impossible to change the roof pitch. All right, the next one. The exterior of the building, we kind of went around and around about this one because it says 90% masonry material, which can be cast stone. So this is you guys have probably seen them build concrete tilt wall. Didn't really even know what they were doing, but it's just a concrete wall that they tilt up, and then on the exterior is just it's painted with the texture on it. So it's kind of a cast, but we went ahead and asked for the variance on that because it's not stone or brick or any of that kind of thing. And so we're asking for a variance on that because that's the current building. And then on the landscape buffer, it's when the building was built, they put landscape from kind of the front where the parking lot is down the side of the building down the side of the parking lot of the church between us and the residential area that we're connected to. And they didn't make it back all the way. It's just kind of trees and bushes to the place where the building is, the church building. And then past the church building, there's not the trees and landscaping. So we're just asking to not have to build a fence or anything in between, to leave it like it is, because that's the way it has been for years. And then the last one is the height. The church height is 42 feet when, again, it was built before, I guess before the restriction was in place of 25 feet. And so we're asking to not have to make the church go from 42 to 25 feet.
Okay. That's good enough for now. I'm sure we'll have questions.
Okay.
But now we need to open the public hearing at 6:50 PM. And do we have anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience that would like to oppose? So no rebuttal, so we'll close the public hearing. Okay, wait till it's 6:51. Just 6:50 PM. Okay, so we'll close the public hearing at 6:50 since we have no public comment. And you had nothing from neighbors or anything either.
Correct.
Okay, so then I guess we can open it up for questions from the board. Want to address, we'll do this on a per item basis. I think so. Does anyone want to start with the size of the building? Okay.
Temporary solution.
Yes, sir.
What is temporary mean to you? Elaborate on that.
Okay, temporary for us is 2 years. I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse, if you will, but we've started talking with some builders and just looking at what can we do and what can we build and how can we make the best use of the space that we have, the land that we have. And so we've kind of been into that, but knowing the cost of construction and all that and how far out people are, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 months just to get some floor put in, you know? So anyway, we're looking at kind of a 2-year is our idea.
You'd be looking at building a more permanent structure in the future
Correct.
to,
Yes, on the present property. The building that is there, we want to build probably some kind of a, and this is why we're talking to engineers and stuff right now to figure out the best use of it. But somehow a building that connects with that building or an expansion of that building or something. That's what we're looking at. Yes, sir.
Temporary buildings will go.
Sir. Yeah. I think that we want to be good neighbors and a good part of our community, and we don't want to have anything that we do to everything we do. We want to do well and make it look nice. And so I understand that there's some reticence about portable buildings. So
portable buildings, I assume they're equipped with bathrooms or all that.
these are not, no, sir.
But, so they have no restroom facilities inside these proposed structures, these manufactured structures.
They do not.
Okay.
No. And that was on purpose because our septic system only has a certain capacity, and we're not seeking to have the occupancy increased or anything like that. This is just a need for space.
So you're basically moving kids from one place and building out to these units, or are you anticipating additional?
Additional enrollment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're shuffling kids. Right now, all 100 kids met in our main room. The other smaller Sunday school classrooms aren't really big enough to accommodate more than, like, let's say 20. And so this will be a place where we can put 40 or 50 because the room size of each, it's a double classroom. So the room size of each is a little bit larger.
So the same amount of kids, you're just shifting the occupancy to different areas.
Correct, yeah.
Part of the school,
Is,
it's part of the school that's there.
no, sir, this is for the church. Yeah. Now, I will say that the school is part of the church. If there was a need for it, then which we don't need it, but if there was a need, then.
Try to be there at the same time as the school.
Well, are you talking about when the students are in session? No, they won't be at the same time.
Sunday.
Correct.
After school.
Right.
So what's the visibility from the neighbors seeing these new portable buildings going in? Will they be able to see them, or will they be
From the
hidden from
rear.
your neighbors?
From the road, there's,
Or from the
the rear.
neighborhood?
oh, from the rear.
Yeah.
One of the buildings would be seen from the rear. It's because it would be there's two buildings. One would be in the rear and one would be to the side.
Any complaints from them? Have you heard from them? Any of them?
Not me, no, sir.
Said that you have 200 kids there.
For Vacation Bible School, we did, yes, sir.
Can't let them have that many there, can you? How do you only have 100?
We're allowed 550. And our occupancy is 550.
That's correct.
That was with the school last year when we met with the fire marshal and planning, zoning and all that. Now I've talked with, and I don't know, did they ever get back with you about that? The emergency service, EST. I talked with the fire chief and I talked with Captain Danny, but we have changed that was because of a separate certificate of occupancy, which is not required any longer.
Change the number of people. At a time.
So the separate certificate of occupancy did change the number, but we don't need that certificate of occupancy anymore because the church already has one. And so everything that happens at our church building falls under that certificate of occupancy.
That's not on the agenda, so
Okay.
I think that's something that'll be handled separately by the ESD.
Said that these are used buildings that you're getting from Louisville ISD. Do you know the age of these buildings?
I do not. I did not ask the age. I can tell you that whatever the age, we'll make sure, like we do with our church building, that they're nice and appropriate. They have the ADA ramps and be painted or to make it look nice.
Any other questions on the size of the building? Would anyone like to make a motion just on the size of the building? Yeah. Do we have a second?
Approve that without putting new information in there.
But didn't we say we could approve the size of the building, but then we have to probably table the
We can approve the size, but we can't approve the exterior.
material? So we need a second on the size.
I'll second this.
Okay. And then in favor? Okay, so now we need a motion on the material of the building. So do we just table that?
We just table that.
Just table that? Okay.
We've
so-
got to renotice it.
Okay, so we'll just table that then until next month.
Might as well go, please go ahead and announce the vote on the first.
Oh, the vote was 4-1. Okay. And then we'll table the material and now we'll move on to the footprint providing for a jog in the existing building. Does anyone have any questions on that? Make a motion on that. Do we have a second? Okay, all in favor of that? Unanimous. Okay, so then we'll move on to the rise, the 7-foot rise for every 12 feet versus the 412 that's on the books. We have a motion for that.
That's a problem for our engineer.
The rise,
Does that come in later?
It's not a problem for him.
Not a problem.
No.
Okay.
This is for the existing structure. So this is
Variances for the proposed
the
accessory
proposed.
Proposed
that's
accessory
60 feet.
are already built. So does anyone feel comfortable with making a motion for that one?
Sorry.
Or to-
We need a second.
Yes. Just need a second on that one.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, so that one passes unanimously. Okay, the next one is the primary structure, which is the construction of the primary structure as far as the masonry material. Okay, so that's the next one. That's what we're on right now. Does anyone have any questions or does anyone want to make a motion on that one? Okay, do we have a second on that one? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the next one is the variance to allow for the current landscaping configuration on the existing building. Does anyone have any questions on that? No questions?
To approve.
Motion to approve that one. Okay, we have a second? Okay, all in favor of that one? Okay, it's unanimous. And then the last one is the maximum height for the existing structure from going from 25 feet to 42 feet. Question,
To approve.
motion to approve. Do we have a second? Okay, all in favor of that one? Two. Okay. So then everything's pretty much approved except the one that will be tabled for next month. And I guess you'll let him know if that happens, or will that definitely happen? Definitely. Okay. Okay, so then no new items to discuss or anything. So at 7:02, we can adjourn the meeting. Alrighty. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
If you guys would call me, I'll get your email address.
I think y'all already have it.
I don't.
You don't? All right, I'll send